In today's video, I'll do a little painting, work on some parts, and also be frustrated. Last night we put our first coat of Tamiya Semi-Gloss Black on here, and of course there's going to be dust in it from the area that I'm working in. We have some bad rippling over here and some bad rippling over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to wet sand it down, get that out of the paint job, and then we're going to go on to our next layer of black, and we're going to keep doing that process until we have a nice finish on the car. We're going to begin the wet sanding process. When we're wet sanding though, try to avoid the edges and high points because you can strip the paint right off. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wet down the surface. We're not just going to put wet sandpaper right onto it, and we're not going to go crazy with the sandpaper. We're just going to go in and we're going to lightly sand and take down those deviations that are in the paint. I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way. This way you can see what I'm doing, but it's a little tough when I'm sanding. So I'm not really taking any paint off. I am just going to take off those deviations. Oh, my layer wasn't actually thick enough, and I did take some paint off on the high point. See what I was talking about with the high points? So just be careful when you're wet sanding. And then I'm going to do the same thing all around the car. This one had pretty bad orange peel, so I got to work it extra fine. This is 1500 grit sandpaper. I'm not using a very low grit because otherwise I would just strip the paint off. And I'm going to do the rest of the car and I'll show it to you when it's done. The black is very hard to see on camera, but it's all scuffed up. I did lose paint in a couple spots. This first layer I put on was very thin. The next layer will go over nicer, but I got rid of all the bubbles that were in there, all the dust that was in there. So now we can move on and get this thing pretty again. Let's do a little time-lapse speed painting here and put a nice wet coat down to keep that shine. Okay, we're looking much better than before. We got the dust out of there. We got most of that orange peel out of there. I'm not 100% happy with it. I know there's going to be dust just because of the area I'm working in is still under construction, so we still have dust and stuff. But it's not that bad. It's coming out pretty good. So while I work on the next part of the car, I'm actually going to put this little guy in the case I bought. This way I could try to keep as much dust off him as possible while I'm working, and then we'll get back to him later. Next up, we're going to start spraying up the body of the car. The car is going to be two-tone, but I want the black underneath here, hoping that the metallic color I put over here pops a little more. Just got my little beauty brush to try to get as much dust off of this as possible. Once we get this guy done, it's going to go in the same case as the other part. All right, boys and girls, it's time for a little more speed painting. We're going to build up some of these layers. This way we could get that black nice and dark. So enjoy the speed painting session, and I'll see you in the next clip. The body is sprayed up black. Did a couple coats. Some panels are really good. Some have a little orange peel, but I noticed on the back, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Yeah, right there. There's some scratches in the plastic that didn't show up when I was using the white primer, unfortunately. That's what I have. And now that I put the black on, there's some scratches in it. So I'm going to have to deal with that. I'm not going to take it all down just to get rid of those scratches. It should look fine. Shouldn't be too noticeable. We're going to be painting a little bit more on this one, but this is going to go in the case now, and we're going to do a little more work on some parts. So hopefully we could get the chassis done up. The worst part about this kit are the injector pin marks and mold lines. I'm going to have to take down a lot of mold lines right here across the pipes and everything. So let me sand those down. It's time to start getting some parts on the chassis. So we'll put together the cross member and the master cylinder over there. They'll go on second. The pipes and mufflers will go on first, and we'll get those guys in there. Hopefully we'll start getting this thing starting to look like a car. I got the pipes and mufflers on. There was a little bit of a fit issue, nothing major with the pegs from this end of the muffler going through and going through the holes over here. All I did was take my X-Acto knife and I opened up those holes just a little bit and they slid right through. Threw a little CA over there. and they're on. So now I got to put the brace in here, and that one I'm kind of not looking forward to because I don't want to get glue everywhere, but let's get on to that. We got the stabilizer bar on and the master cylinder. This was a little bit of a pain in the neck. It didn't feel like it was lining up right, and actually I'm glad this fell off the master cylinder. It gave me a little bit more wiggle room to see what was going on over there, and then I put that back on. Now with the master cylinder, I got a little cute. I wanted to make it look cool, and I used Ammo Crystal Black Blue. If you use the Ammo Crystal colors, don't. They gunked up my airbrush so bad, and I had tip dry almost immediately, so I won't be using those. I'm not happy with that paint at all, and I won't try to be cute again. Let's move on to another part of the chassis over here. As you can see, we're back to being masked up on the car. I almost made a big mistake. I was going to put the axles on and everything before I clear coated. If I did that, I would have had a worse tape job to do. So we're going to clear coat this and then let that dry, and then probably put a second coat on, and then we'll put the axles and everything else on. I'm not going to go crazy with the shine on it. Like I said, there's a lot of dirt in here and stuff like that. So we're just going to do the best we can on this car until the shop is ready. And here we are. We're all nice and shiny now. This is 2 coats of Mr. Super Clear Gloss. That's what I've been using. I'm not going to go through the craziness of buffing all of this out. So the shine is good. It looks very flat. We're going to leave it like this, and we're going to be able to start putting the pieces on the bottom now. This isn't glued on yet, but this is how the 2 radius bars should be. The pins are going into the axle frame over here, and then there's 2 little lips that'll glue right onto the frame itself. And then this is the steering linkage, which I'm having a little bit of a problem with this also. It's supposed to fit around over here with 2 little curves. It's not going all the way down, so I might have to open those gaps up a little bit. If I do, I'll let you know. The radius rod and the steering linkage is a little bit of a pain in the butt, so what I'm doing is I super glued this one in first. I'm going to put the linkage through all the way. I'll glue the other one, and then I'll bring the linkage back. This way it makes it a little easier, and then we're going to mess around with those little hooks to put up over here by the wheels. Hopefully that works out okay. Now I have both rods on. I'm just waiting for those to dry. Then we're going to mess around with the linkage and try to get that in place. And then I'll touch up the couple spots where I had to take paint off. I got it as close as I could to position, and then I have the steering linkage in. The only problem is the front pieces, they go down as far as they can, but this piece to the steering linkage is supposed to meet the steering box, and there's a gap between it. I got it as close as I could to position, and then I super glued it down to the steering box. It's not in the exact right spot. The pieces are a little off. I wasn't sure if I was going to do the engine in this video, but I started working on the drive shaft here, and I said, you know what, let's get this done, get the engine in for this video, so we'll work on that next. We got the drive shaft on the engine, so it's pretty much complete. Now we're going to go over to a couple more spots on the engine and get this thing in the car. This is our second go round with the pipes. I got it back in gray primer over here. I did it a blue. I didn't like it, so I'm going to go with a gloss black this time. So let me set up, and then we'll paint this guy. Our pipes are all dry. They're all glossed up. Now all I have to do is take the paint off the connection points. This way I can glue them on, and we should have a completed engine here. Just a small touch of CA to each connection point. Nothing crazy. This way we don't have a glue bomb, and we'll be ready to put it on. Wish me luck that I get this thing on here correct. Hopefully that's in the right position for when I put it onto the car. That looks about right. I'll hit it with a little quick set, and we should be good to go. And there we go. Now I just gotta wait for that to dry up, and we'll start putting this into the base of the car. Here's my rookie mistake. I should have popped the engine in first and then the pipes. Looking at the directions, it looked like it would have been easier to put the pipes on first, not realizing the motor mounts are there to hold the engine in place. So I'm going to have to pop those pipes off and get this in place, and then do the difficult task of putting the pipes in after the engine is seated. After about a good half an hour of fiddling with this thing and getting frustrated and saying lots of cursing, I have the pipes in, we have the engine in. I did notice that the motor mount is a little thinner on one side, so it is a kind of a little cockeyed. If you know it's there, you'll see it. If I didn't say anything, you probably wouldn't see it unless you look at the underside of the car, and you can tell this side is lifted up just a little bit. The fit really isn't the greatest, but we're doing our best. The one thing I don't like is where the pipes meet the mufflers. It's a gap there. They should have had it closed off so the pin just slides in, but that might have been a little bit more difficult with how you have to put the pipes onto the engine. So that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The next episode, we should have the top and the inside done. So hopefully that's all finished up, and we'll see you next time.